Welcome back. We are here for yet again another episode of Under Contract. I am Tammy Dean, your host for this brief but engaging episode. I always try to bring you enlightening guests, educational guests, whether it's in the wellness space, longevity space, the business space, philanthropical space, whatever space it might be. My goal is to bring you guests that are going to add value to your moment when you are watching or listening to this podcast. And today, I have a special guest. He has been in the longevity space for quite some time. The original footprint that he has established was in the emergency room sector of medicine. He's been practicing for over 50 years, has a new book out called Ageless Vitality. He's an innovator, he's a researcher, he's a medical practitioner, but more than anything, he truly is that practitioner who truly cares for the individual. Not saying doctors don't, but he truly takes into consideration every aspect of the individual to make sure he's treating the whole person. Dr. Galitzer, welcome to Under Contract.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, Ken.
Sometimes when I introduce my guests, they look at me like, whoa, back up. I have to kind of address that big intro right there. But you truly fit those shoes. So let's talk real quickly about the big picture, and it comes to your book Ageless Vitality. I know that it centers on staying energetic and healthy as we age. What does ageless vitality actually mean in practical terms?
It means having lots of energy at every decade of your life. Uh,
Yeah.
it's an area called energy medicine. And most medicine is physical, or you go to a doctor, you'll get x rays, CAT scans, biopsies, MRIs, uh, mammograms, look at the structure of your body, or he'll get blood tests looking at the chemical level. So there's a physical level and a chemical level. But there's an electoral level. Medicine goes electoral with the heart EKG and with the brain EEG and nerve muscle. We go electrical everywhere else. There's an electrical liver, kidneys, pancreas, adrenals, thyroid. So your body's an orchestra, and these
Yeah.
organs and glands are instruments in that orchestra. Some are sluggish and out of tune. Some are strong and in tune. If you can get everything sluggish to be strong, the orchestra plays better music. Now, when I was an ER doc, we looked at toxins a little differently. Toxins were overdoses, sleeping pills, carbon dioxide poisoning. Energy medicine says there's toxins in the air, water, food, chemicals, heavy metals, pesticides. They accumulate in our bodies. Vaccines, they accumulate in our bodies, and our bodies don't work as well. So the goal is balance the orchestra, get everything playing right, and reduce the toxicity level. That will cause ageless vitality.
So it's really about, and we hear this catchphrase in this space a lot. It's lightening or lessening your toxin or tox burden, right? The burden of toxins in your body. And I feel like you hit upon something that's very important right now, energy, right? And with the advent of all of the EMFs that are surrounding us, how does that play into affecting the vitality and the energy of an individual when you're looking at the whole orchestra?
Right. Well, the EMFs starting from 5G to listening, putting the headphone to your ears, that can actually break down the blood-brain barrier. We live in that world, and we have to continue to do things to make sure that we keep that uh, negative energy to a minimum. And
Yeah.
it's not easy. It's
Yeah.
not easy.
So a lot of people, they accept decline is inevitable, right? I know I'm approaching 60 and I don't feel like I have decline, but I feel like a lot of us, whether we're 30, 40, 50, 60, or 70, we accept decline as inevitable. What's the biggest lie we've been told about aging?
Uh, the biggest lie is that uh, it's normal to have low energy as you get
Mm.
older. I think that's the biggest lie, or one of the biggest lies. And that, but the flip side of that is that one of the keys thing is making sure your hormones are balanced. Okay. Now, hormones, they're major hormones and they're minor hormones. The majors are thyroid, insulin by the pancreas, and adrenal hormones. The minors are testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. You can live without testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, maybe not well, but you can live without thyroid, the right amount of insulin, and the adrenals. So the adrenal hormones are kind of like the hormones that keep you resilient to the outside stressors. They're like the gas pedal of your car. Thyroid's kind of like the carburetor of your car. And so the stronger your adrenals are, the more resilient you are to stressors. And the adrenals are the key because that's what happens as we get older, as we get less resilient to stressors. We could
Right.
handle things easy in our 20s and 30s. We could eat anything we wanted. In
Right.
our 20s and 30s, we can't do that in our 60s and 70s.
Right.
So the stronger your adrenals are, the more resilient you are to stressors. So I'd say the myth is that uh, you age because your hormones decline, as opposed to your hormones are declining because you're aging. And so optimizing your hormones are a key part of ageless vitality.
Let's talk about that because I know there, in the influencer world, there are so many influencers who are touting this whole maximize and optimize your hormones, right? What does that look like? Because there are certain tests that have to be taken. And I know from experience, we have to test our biomarkers first and foremost. We have to see what we're doing before you can actually diagnose any sort of treatment plan, peptides, protocol, whatever it might be, HRT. You can't, and I feel like right now what's happening is these influencers are touting, take this peptide stack and your hormones will be fine. But that's not the reality of the situation, right? With the not even the advent of peptides, because peptides have been around for a while, and I know that you are an expert in this space. Let's talk a little bit about the importance of, hormones and being balanced and incorporating peptides in being ageless vitality, because I can tell you they've done a wonder for me, not just with my overall well-being, but with my hormones as well, if done right.
Right. All right. So, a doctor will normally get blood tests to look at hormones. Uh, you'll get a thyroid panel, TSH, free T3, free T4. You'll get a level of your hemoglobin A1C, which measures do you have insulin resistance. You'll get an insulin level on your blood test. The adrenals, you really can't test well on blood tests. You really need saliva, and you need saliva at 4-hour increments. So 8 a.m., noon, 4 p.m., 8 p.m., midnight, and 4 a.m. And because you're looking for the cortisol and you're looking for the DHEA. Cortisol's the hormone that actually creates energy. DHEA kind of builds you up, and you got to have both. So you really can't get it. You can get a blood DHEA, but you can't get an idea about cortisol unless you do a saliva test. So
Right.
uh, no, I evaluate it a little differently. I do a kind of electrodermal testing where I can actually exactly tell you where your hormones are on your first visit. But uh, as a rule, you've got to know where your adrenals are, where's your cortisol, where's your DHEA, and you need to do that on a saliva test.
So I was diagnosed months ago with adrenal dysregulation, right? And for somebody out there listening who may not be aware that they have adrenal dysregulation, and I knew my body was going through some sort of fatigue regarding the adrenals. What would you say someone should look for? If they haven't even tested yet, they have no clue about this. What are some of the symptoms, and what would the biggest thing? One of the biggest things that's silently draining us, if it isn't our adrenals, it could be cortisol. What should somebody look for if they were have absolutely no awareness about their adrenals being dysregulated?
Uh, First, the number one symptom would be fatigue. It would be fatigue as the day goes by.
Yeah.
Uh, Crashing maybe at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They need to have caffeine to keep your energy up in the afternoon. Uh, Adrenals, basically, if you say you eat sugar, uh,
Mm,
then your blood sugar goes up and your pancreas creates insulin to drive your blood sugar down. But it's the job of cortisol made by your adrenals to prevent it from going too low. So if your adrenals are tired, you're going to get hypoglycemia, maybe
mm.
11 a.m., 3 p.m. Get foggy thinking, a little dizzy. So those are the real symptoms of adre- fatigue. Hypoglycemia are the two major symptoms of adrenal fatigue. And a lot of people have it. And it really influences women, say in their 40s, because the adrenals represent and uh, stress and survival, whereas the ovaries represent reproduction. Now, to the body, stress and survival are much more important than reproduction. So the
Right.
body will do whatever it takes to maintain stress and survival, which means converting your ovarian progesterone to adrenal cortisol, converting your ovarian estrogen to DHEA to maintain stress and survival. So you get depleted with your ovarian hormones in order to maintain your adrenal status. So it's key if you're ever going to put anybody on bioidentical hormones that you also support the adrenals because you really want the estrogen progesterone to do their thing, not to convert to DHA cortisol. So that's a huge thing. And if your adrenals are tired, you will go into early menopause because you're going to maintain stress and survival at all ends.
So when a woman wakes up, because I know even now when I'm on HRT, Dr. Galitzer, I will tend to wake up between 2, 3 o'clock in the morning wide awake. Right. And I don't know if that's just because my mind can't stop racing, my cortisol levels, or what that is. But there's a woman out there, and there are women out there, and I know it for a fact, right? You see it probably commonly in your practice. Something's off there. It's the cortisol, I believe, that is it's spiking. It's almost like you're going to reach for your phone at 3 a.m. and your dopamine levels, you're changing everything by looking at that screen at 2 a.m., right? So what are some common issues that you might see that would contribute to someone or a woman waking up like that? You know, brain fog, waking up at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. What are you seeing that could be common root causes in your practice?
All right. Well, let's talk about that because it's not only women; it's men too. Uh,
Oh, okay.
so, have you ever had acupuncture, Tammy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, in acupuncture, there are 12 major meridians or channels through which the energy flow.
Yeah.
Each of those meridians are connected to uh, an organ, and there's a 24-hour clock. So, there's 12 into 24 is 2. So, every organ has 2 hours of that clock when organ function is strongest.
Yeah.
Liver time is between 1 and 3 in the morning, okay? And so it's about the liver, and it's the way we wake up is that the adrenals send cortisol to the liver and say, "Release blood sugar," and we normally wake up at 7, 7,
Ah.
6, okay? But we're waking up at 1 to 3, we're getting that message at 1 to 3. But it's not only the cortisol, it's also the liver. The first 4 letters in liver are live. It's the major organ to get toxins out. All the food that you eat is processed in the liver. So there's a few basic things is you want to stop eating 3 hours before you go to sleep. But
Mm,
more importantly, you've got to balance your liver.
right.
That's what you said. There's supplements, there's herbs, there's homeopathics, there's uh, acupuncture. So it's this interplay between the adrenals that normally will tell your liver will send cortisol to your liver and say, wake up at 7 a.m., but it's doing it at 1 to 3 in the morning. So it's not, it's really balancing the liver and balancing the adrenals. Because really what
Interesting.
you're having is you're having a hypoglycemic episode at 1 to 3 in the morning.
So do I just eat sweets before I go to bed and take care of that?
I think we'll pass on that. We want to keep the stomach or the GI system really quiet.
Right.
That's why we stop eating 3 hours before we go to sleep.
So let's talk about something that is such a buzzword. And again, I'm just thinking out loud because your answers are prompting me to ask other questions. Let's talk a little bit about peptides because mitochondrial health is so key, and I know that's key to vitality. And I know that you are able to explain that and why that matters so much in aging. And I'm almost certain it's touched upon in your book. I glanced over it. But at the same time, let's talk about mitochondrial health and peptides as it relates to hormones being regulated, adrenals, cortisol levels. Let's talk about that. Why is that such a key to vitality? And it's such a buzzword right now. The mitochondria, on a cellular level, we have to take care of things. Somebody could be chronically sick forever, do all the labs, do all the protocols, do all the things, but they're still sick. So is it cellular? Is it mitochondria? I mean, talk to me about that, Dr. Gallagher, because I feel like that has a large part to do with vitality.
It's a great question. Again, we talked about there's the physical you,
Mhm.
X-rays, CAT scans, biopsies. There's the chemical you, blood tests, and there's the electrical you, which is where, or the energetic you, which is where I practice energy medicine. So a lot of people I see don't feel well and have perfect blood tests, and X-rays look great, and it's all on this electrical level. And doctor says, well, if you don't look at the electrical level, then there's really no advice you can give on the electrical level. And they say, well, you're stressed, or and you know, uh, take a vacation, or
Or take a Xanax is what most of the doctors would say. Here's an antidepressant.
yeah, they could say that,
Go
right?
fix it.
But
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. It's all on this energetic electrical level. Now, the mitochondria are the energy factories within the cell.
Mm.
Okay, And the liver, the heart and the brain have the most mitochondria per cell. I think the heart has 5,000 per cell. So that's where so basically the body works. The blood delivers oxygen and glucose to the cells. The mitochondria burn that oxygen and glucose and create something called ATP, which
Mhm.
is an energy molecule.
What does
Uh,
that stand for, Dr. Galitzer?
Adenosine triphosphate,
Okay.
ATP. The
Right.
body needs magnesium to do that. Uh, but more importantly, it's how healthy are these energy factories, the mitochondria. And again, and a lot of people are giving NAD these days, uh, because on a certain level, the more NAD you have, the more ATP you have. But we can't measure in the blood ATP or NAD. So, people know that NAD, the higher your NAD level is, the more energy you have. We don't have a test to measure that. So
Right.
then people are giving NAD IV, NAD subcutaneously, which I actually think works, or precursor NAD, NMN, uh,
Mm.
nicotine rib, NR, uh, to create NAD. Well, I'm not quite sure about that, but there's a lot of controversy about that. But there's no controversy about the fact that the more NAD you have, the more energy you have. Uh, but we can't measure that yet. So that's one of the reasons why there's a little controversy about NAD. But back to uh, energy.
Right.
There's 50 trillion cells in your body. 50 trillion. Okay.
Jeez.
And the interesting thing is that if you see cancer on an X-ray, that's 1 billion. So the focus is on the 1 billion, not on the 50 trillion. But that's a whole other issue. Uh, so if you have 50 trillion cells in your body, the body really wants to send messages and tell cells how to do two different ways.
Right.
One is hormones. Send a hormone out, it'll tell the cell what to do. The other one is the autonomic nervous system. This automatic nervous system that controls things you don't have to think about, like blood pressure, pulse, your next breath. Uh, and it has the sympathetic and the parasympathetic branches. So you could do it through the nervous system. But if you wanted a certain cell in your pancreas, say, to to do something, it would be inefficient to send a hormone or a nervous system signal. So cells talk to each other. So
Mm.
hormonal is endocrine, but paracrine is cell talking to each other. And cells talk to each other by releasing exosomes. You've heard of that word, exosomes?
Yes,
They're like
yes.
messengers.
That's
And
right.
a lot of people using exosomes for skin therapy, for
For
intravenous
signaling, right.
signaling.
Yeah. Yeah.
So peptides are signaling agents. Okay.
Right.
Now, peptides and hormones are composed of proteins. The difference is peptides have 30 or less proteins, whereas hormones have a lot more hormones. Like hormone has 100, sorry, growth hormone has 194 amino acids. Peptides have less than 30 amino acids. So peptides are strings of amino acids, less than 30, and there are a lot of different peptides, whereas hormones have a lot more amino acids. And so that's the difference between peptides and hormones. Now, peptides are also paracrine messengers.
Yeah.
They're secreted by the cells, telling other cells what to do. They're not secreted by the adrenals or the thyroid. So paracrine, cell to cell talk, is really important, and you could do it with exosomes, but you could also do it with peptides. So people
So
are thinking, well, let's get our cells talking more, and
right.
let's use these peptides and let's inject these peptides. Now, the big deal was about Manjaro or tirzepatide, which is a
Right.
peptide that basically ultimately causes you to be more sensitive to insulin, which reduces inflammation and causes weight loss. So when that happened, and everybody said, "Well, look what's happening with tirzepatide and Manjaro and Ozempic." I think tirzepatide is a little better than Ozempic. Then everybody got in. Well, there's got to be other peptides, and so there are other peptides.
So here we are with GLP-3 floating around there.
Right, retatrutide,
Right.
which
Yeah.
is GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon. So
Right.
that's all three. That's three.
Right.
So we're there, but the other peptides are, BPC 157, thymosin beta 4, thymosin alpha 1 for the immune system,
Yeah.
CJC for growth hormone release. So there's a bunch of peptides. I personally think that peptides work best in a certain age group, uh,
Yeah.
like growth hormone releasing hormone, CJC works maybe from 30 to 60 or 30 to 65. And then, sometimes you need the hormones and not the peptides as you get older. Uh,
So let me ask you this because, again, we're going to talk very broadly about the influencers and social media and how everybody's a peptide expert, right? So and correct me if I'm wrong, the GHR, is it GHR, like the CJCs, the ipamorelins?
CJC is GHRH, growth hormone
G
releasing
okay.
hormone.
So those particular, for example, the tesamorelin, the ipamorelin, the CJCs, the all of those that help with, body composition, healing, visceral fat, growth. How does that affect someone? How could that possibly affect someone's hormone levels if they're not being monitored while dosing? And, is that does that contribute to one of the fastest ways to affect mitochondrial health without even realizing it? Or is that something that, yeah, it's fine, just do it. Even though you don't know what your hormones are like, go ahead and take CJC, do all these peptides just because they tout what they tout.
Right. So, the pituitary gland makes growth hormone. Okay. And, as you know, we stop growing normally by the time we're 21, although some people can, grow an inch up to 25. So as we get older, the pituitary is not releasing growth hormone. Okay. Or actually, growth hormone is released in spurts during the day. So it causes growth up to age 25, but it's part of this rejuvenation that occurs during sleep.
Mm.
There's pulsed growth hormone all during the day, but the biggest pulse is in the first 2 hours of sleep, which is why the first part of sleep is physically regenerating. The second part of sleep is dreaming and more emotionally regenerating. So basically, the idea behind CJC and ipamorelin, growth hormone releasing hormone and growth hormone releasing peptide, is to get the pituitary to release more growth hormone. So it's actually a more of a natural process. You're
Oh,
not giving growth hormone. It's causing the pituitary to release growth hormone. And so I think it's a good thing, especially
yeah,
in that age group between
30 and
30
60.
and 65. Yeah.
I'm barely making it. So I'm still in that category.
Yeah.
So,
So
you just said.
are you hesitant about that yourself?
No, I'm not. I would love all of that. I pin me as much as I can possibly be pinned. That's the way I look at it. I wanna be a pincushion when it comes to peptides, right? But my question is this, Dr. Galitzer, because again, I'm going back to how we're inundated with information about not just ageless vitality, mitochondrial health, peptide therapy, all the things. What are, in addition to peptides, okay? Because peptides we could talk about for hours because there's so much to just cover there. But I want to focus on a little bit more about effective ways to improve mitochondrial health. I know that with ageless vitality and energy, and if someone wants to feel, let's say, 10 to 20 years younger, starting today, right? What are the first three things or first three changes you would have them make when it comes to ageless vitality slash mitochondrial health? Forget about the peptides. What if somebody doesn't even know a darn thing about all of this?
Got it. Okay. Well, it's a great question. Uh, all right. So let's talk about toxicity. Okay.
Oof.
That's an area that we actually measure. We can actually measure toxicity, and essentially, most people don't realize how our body works in terms of how do we get these toxins out. Well, they leave the cells and they first go into the lymphatic system.
Oof.
Now, the lymph glands we know swell up when we get a sore throat, but there's lymph in our breast, armpit, abdominal area, and pelvic area. The lymph gathers it up, empties under the collarbone into the large veins. Eventually, these toxins will get through the heart and the lungs and they'll go to the liver. Liver can either take it into the intestines and out the stool or back into the blood, kidneys, and out the urine. So refer to the liver, lymph, kidney systems as the drainage organs. And if the drainage organs are sluggish, toxins are going to accumulate in the connective tissue, tendons, muscles, ligaments, joints, bones, why we ache and feel stiff when we're toxic. So the first thing that we do is it's called drainage. It's not detox. Detox means pulling toxins out of the cells. Well, if you put them out of the cells and then move them into the liver, lymph, kidney systems, and those systems are sluggish, you're going to get sick.
Mm.
Example: having a colonic or having or fasting. If your drainage systems are sluggish, these things it's kind of like having a bowel movement on a toilet that won't flush. So
Hold on right there, Dr. Galitzer. So when you say they could get sick, give us an example of what does that sickness look like? But because I'm thinking about how when my lymphatic system was clogged because of breast implant illness, I was sick all the time. So what would that layperson look for? Be feeling sick.
right. Heart rate will go up, you'll get a
Yeah.
fever, you'll get nausea. Nausea would probably be the biggest thing. So those kind of things. So what I'm
Okay.
saying is detox was a great thing. And uh, when I first got into this, I was chasing toxins. I've kind of changed my approach and saying, look, you have to do drainage first, liver, lymph, kidney. And these are things that came out of the German biological medicine in the 50s and 60s and 70s. And I fortunately was, trained by these guys, and it made total sense. So if you want to unclog the drain, and if the
Mm.
drain, liver, lymph, kidneys drain, isn't working efficiently, and you cannot see a sluggish liver on a blood test. You can see an inflamed liver on a blood test, elevated liver enzymes. You can't see sluggish liver. You can't see sluggish kidney, and there's nothing to measure the lymph. The lymph may be the most overlooked system in traditional medicine. The only way we talk about the lymph is in modern medicine is, well, your cancer spread into your lymph nodes, or you have, a swollen lymph node here. But the lymph is not treated really in traditional medicine, and the lymph is one of the key systems in the body. So the first thing is we've got to stimulate drainage. How do you stimulate drainage of the liver? Juice a lemon. Take a lemon, cut it in half, squeeze the juice out of both halves, 60 ounces of water every day
In the morning?
in the morning, first thing in the morning.
Hot water, Dr. Galitzer, or just room
Cold,
temperature?
whatever you want.
Okay,
It's
perfect.
the lemon is unique in that it's acidic but becomes alkaline within the body. And one of
Say
the
that one more time for that person. Water and lemon.
Yeah. Take a
Okay,
lemon, cut it in half, squeeze the juice out of both halves, 8 ounces of
perfect.
water. Now, lemon is acidic but becomes alkaline in the body. And one of the issues that we have in our modern lifestyle, coffee, sugar, cigarettes, uh, alcohol, soft drinks, is that we become too acidic. The stress, another cause of acidity. So we want to start getting the body a little more alkaline.
Right.
And so lemon your water, carrots, beets, zucchini, squash, watercress, artichoke, broccoli. Uh, Those are vegetables that help cleanse the liver, help drain the liver. NAC is a great supplement for the liver. Uh, uh, Sulforaphane, which is in broccoli, another great
Yes.
supplement
Good
for the liver.
supplement to take as well. Yeah.
So this is liver drainage, number
Right.
one. Number Now I've created homeopathic and herbal formulas to address liver drainage. And they're actually, if you go to the website, you can order those right off the website. Uh, Kidney drainage, lots of good water. Asparagus, parsley, pomegranate, good kidney foods, and water is
Ophora water. Ophora water, no less.
perfect.
Have to plug
Alkaline,
that somewhere.
I love O4 water.
Yes.
Alkaline water, hyperoxygenated water, O4 water is great.
Yes.
And that's a great water. But the
Yes.
issue is that most people don't drink enough water. You're supposed
Truly.
to drink half your weight in ounces per day,
Yeah.
which is really about 2 liters a day for a lot of people,
Yeah.
maybe even 2.5 liters.
So let's do
So
the math on that because there's somebody out there that's confused with that equation, right? So if I weigh 110 pounds, I should be drinking 55
ounces,
ounces,
right?
right?
55 ounces a
Half
day,
your
which
body
is
weight.
almost 2 liters. A liter's
Yeah.
a little, probably about 65 ounces, two
Right.
liters, uh, or 68. Yeah. So you've got, and again, asparagus, parsley, pomegranate, great kidney foods. And the lymph is helped by really no dairy because dairy congests the lymph, deep breathing, and bouncing exercise, whether it be a rebounder, trampoline, jumping rope, and
Vibration plate.
vibration plate. Yeah, we have the Sonics machine in the office, but
Yeah.
anything that vibrates moves the lymph system.
Yeah.
Deep breathing is a really easy thing to do. And obviously, you can't really tell a 75-year-old person right on a trampoline, but you can
You
tell
can't.
tell a 10-year-old to do that.
You
Uh,
can, but and you also can't tell a 30, 40, 50, or 60-year-old because some people just think it's so woo-woo, right? Like, if we're gonna go there, there are so many things that people consider woo-woo, but they're starting to come out with studies, and you can attest to this or not, that are seriously validating a lot of what's considered woo-woo right now that's working, right? Because there's so much misinformation out there. I guess my question for you is, amidst all of these answers that you've just shared with us, how do you simplify health optimization to some people, in a way that they can actually follow it that doesn't come across as overwhelming or woo woo or this, that, and the other? How do you simplify this information for them to follow?
Well, again, we haven't even talked about diet, but
Oh,
diet, diet,
that's
yeah,
huge.
right. Religion
Yeah,
and diet, everybody's got their own take on that.
that's true.
You can't, yeah, you can't argue about that kind of stuff.
You can't. No.
No, but so I assume your person's is eating fairly well, eating 3 meals a day.
Well, let's say they're on the American diet and they don't believe in this whole, they're tiptoeing into it. Okay, maybe they're not doing any gluten right now, but they're still eating fried foods. Maybe they're just, you know what I mean? They're teetering. They're like, okay, maybe, yeah, there's some truth to this, but I'm not quite convinced just yet.
Right. Well, the best diet is, I'd say the best all around diet is the Mediterranean diet. If
Love
you can
that.
go gluten free, dairy free, avocados, nuts and seeds, salmon, olive oil, I think those are great foods. I
Yeah.
think that some people don't eat breakfast, which I personally can't live without breakfast, but there are some people that don't eat breakfast. Uh, and so there's intermittent fasting. I think it's about where do you shop, number one. Okay. Organic is interesting because organic is basically pesticide free, but it's not heavy metal free. And as
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Back up there. Wait, wait. Talk about that.
you don't know about that part.
No.
Heavy metal, yeah. Because there's all these things, chemtrails or
Oh,
thing up there.
don't even get me started on the chemtrails, Dr.
Well,
Galitzer.
that floats down to all the farms too. But so when you go to the farmers market, which I think you should go to the farmers
I
market,
do. Yes.
get organic. It's most likely it's pesticide free, but you don't really have a clue about heavy metals.
So
No.
then how do we remediate that? That's like a huge thing.
Well, heavy metals are excreted through the kidneys. Okay.
Okay, so
That's
we're back to the function. Okay.
right. And
Yeah.
one other thing is that if a woman gets a breast MRI with contrast, the contrast is gadolinium, which is a heavy metal. So you always want to support the kidneys. The kidneys are key for heavy metals. No, not everybody is susceptible to every toxin out there. Okay.
I am though. I'm gonna be that person. I am absolutely susceptible to them.
All right.
I know that.
Check you out on that.
Yes, for sure.
But there's if you looked at toxins, say gluten's a toxin, viruses are toxins, pesticides are toxins, heavy metals are toxins.
Glyphosate.
Yeah, pesticide.
Yeah.
So, but not everybody's susceptible to all of those four categories. Some
Right.
people are sensitive to gluten, but they can deal with pesticides. Some people have mercury fillings in their teeth, but they're mercury excretors. So and that's what we kind of look at in my practice is looking at what are the key toxins. But the thought that everything out there is is toxic and you're in trouble, not really. People are sensitive to this toxin or that toxin. It's important to find that sensitivity, but it's not that every toxin out there is taking down people's health. But okay, so we got drainage. Uh, we got the fact that we want to eat correctly, and we can just assume that the person is eating correctly. Uh, and then the next step is where's your gut? What is the health
Oh.
of your GI system? Okay. Because GI health, all autoimmune conditions are associated with something called leaky gut.
Let's
Leaky,
explain that.
right. So, leaky gut is the area around the small intestine, which is the area around your belly button. And basically, digestion, you chew your food, it goes into your stomach. Your stomach empties into the small intestine. And at that point, the gallbladder releases bile to process the fats in the food. And the pancreas releases digestive enzymes to digest the protein, the starch, and the fat in the food. And ultimately, all the food is absorbed through these little villi, called looking like that, and all the food is processed in the small intestine. Now, leaky gut, and a major cause of leaky gut is gluten, but it can be caused by stress, it can be caused by a virus. And leaky gut, not everything goes through the villi. This opens up. And now partially just the food gets in, creating inflammation and overloading the liver. And toxins get in, overloading the liver. And basically you get bloating, pain, And at the same time, this inflammation tells your adrenals to secrete cortisol to neutralize the inflammation. So ultimately, every time you eat, uh, your liver's getting overloaded and your adrenals are having to work extra hard. Again, they're the first organ affected by stress. This is a nutritional stress, but there's physical, mental, emotional. So leaky gut contributes to tired adrenals and overloaded liver and high
And
blood.
skin issues.
Right. So
Yeah.
if the liver is overloaded, the body's going to try to pulse or get stuff out through the sinuses and also through the skin.
And it isn't absorbing the good nutrients that you're ingesting because of the gut being leaky. Everything's just kind of
Everything's
going
going in
through.
that
Right.
shouldn't be going in. So you
I
get
feel like
liver
a
over.
lot of men and women have leaky gut and they don't even know it, right? Because they just feel like I know that was me when before I knew all of what I know, but I know that when I was feeling bloated after eating a certain meal and I actually had SIBO at one time. So that's a whole different ball game, right? So for those of you who don't know what that is, it's small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which essentially stems from the gut, right? It all happens in the gut. But I know for me, I didn't even know that the constant bloated after every meal, even water, right? I was just bloated. Skin issues, headaches, brain fog, exhaustion was all leaky gut. I had no clue. So for those of you listening or watching, and I'll be sure to provide all the information for Dr. Galitzer, but that is a real experience, right? A real condition. Leaky gut is real. It's not just a catchphrase or a trend. It is very real. And correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Galitzer, but our gut and the health of our gut is the brain of everything functioning optimally. Everything.
Right, because leaky gut can cause leaky brain. So brain
Yeah.
fog. And again, gluten in this country, I have a lot of patients who have gluten sensitivity. They go to Italy, they eat the pasta, they're fine. So
Same. Yes.
the gluten here is not healthy. And so there is a blood-brain barrier. And just like the barrier breaks down here, the barrier breaks down here, and brain fog is and brain fatigue
It's
is
so real.
associated with leaky gut. So that's a huge issue. And so you want to treat, there's a triangle: the liver, the pancreas, right? We talked about liver being overloaded, the pancreas, and the small intestine. So you need a powder to fix the small intestine, homeopathics and herbs to treat the liver and the pancreas. So if you treat the triangle and eliminate, in most cases, gluten, people get better pretty quickly.
That's amazing because again, I feel like, and again, I perused some of your work and parts of the book, but you truly treat the whole person. You don't just treat, and I feel like this is where modern medicine may miss the mark, that they just are symptomatic, right? They look at the symptoms, they don't really look at, and again, I became my own science project when I was sick and I figured out, let's talk, the symptoms are just number one. Let's figure out why the symptoms are there, right? And for me, it all stemmed back from leaky gut and lymphatic and the whole nine yards. But I also had mold exposure, so the whole thing. So where do you think modern medicine gets it wrong when it comes to aging, long-term health, and let's tie it back to ageless vitality? Where do you think, because you're in this space, right? You're in modern medicine per se, but you've also created a different artery in terms of the longevity and the energy and treating the whole person. Where do you think modern medicine gets it wrong?
All right. Well, first of all, with leaky gut, modern medicine calls it irritable bowel syndrome, which
There you go. Or
is
Crohn's.
Crohn's is a little, yeah, Crohn's is a
Yep.
little different. But yes, you got to have leaky gut before you can get.
Should I not be drinking my matcha?
No, go get them.
Okay, perfect. I just want to make sure
So
I'm not
what
adding to the
modern
problem.
well, modern medicine, first of all, doesn't recognize that most people out there have adrenal fatigue. Because, you know, modern medicine just measures an 8 a.m. cortisol. Now, if somebody goes at you with a needle to draw your blood at 8 a.m., your cortisol is going to go up. And your
Of
cortisol is
course.
normally fairly high in the morning. It's highest in the morning. And so modern medicine doesn't address adrenal health at all. Modern medicine doesn't address the fact that we have uh, sluggish liver, kidneys, and lymphatic systems. Modern medicine doesn't address the fact that a lot of people have sluggish pancreases and don't make enough pancreatic enzymes. The pancreas, remember we talked about that
Yeah.
24 o'clock? Pancreas is strongest in the morning,
Yeah.
weakest in the evening. And a lot of Americans don't eat breakfast and have this huge dinner when the pancreas is normally not working as well and have digested, and then go to sleep with a full stomach. So modern medicine doesn't address leaky gut. It doesn't address the adrenals. it really doesn't address chronic low levels of toxins. We know about acute toxins, and we saw that in the ER, but it doesn't address this whole concept of toxins because it has no way to measure toxicity. And a lot of this functional medicine stuff that, you know, does urine tests and blood tests, and it actually gives you an idea about your level of toxicity. And again, it doesn't at all look at leaky gut, calls it irritable bowel syndrome. Uh,
So there's no true measure, no true way to measure that, right? You're just kind
right.
of
I'd
yeah.
say the basic thing with traditional medicine is that uh, it defines health as the absence of disease. Whereas this medicine says there's disease here, there's health here, most people in the middle. They haven't
That's right.
progressed in disease, but they don't feel well.
I
And the
like
reason they
that.
don't feel well is
Yeah.
because there's toxicity, there's hormonal imbalance. Again, also say that one of the hardest things to get people to do is to exercise.
Oh my goodness, even just take a 10-minute walk.
Right. Yeah.
Right, get up and walk. Especially after eating a meal, regardless if it's in the morning, afternoon, at night. Just walk down the hallway for crying out loud, right? Just get outdoors, walk to the end of your driveway and come back. Walk. That is such an underrated opportunity for all of us is if you can walk, right? God woke us up one more day, then you should be able to walk down to the mailbox and come back. Get your body moving. I feel like that's the follow-up question I have, right? So what should we be doing instead of, these things that people tell us that we should be doing and what aren't we doing? What should we be doing? Walking more, eating cleaner food? I mean, it sounds like there's so many pesticides and anything with our food anyway. So what should we be doing?
Okay. Well, um, we should be ensuring that our liver, kidney, lymph systems are working
It
efficiently.
goes right back to that. Yep.
Yeah, because that's drainage. Because we're
That's it.
exposed. We're
Yeah.
exposed every day. So why
Yeah.
not support? Uh, you say, well, what is it out there that's weakening me? We should make sure our liver, lymph, kidney systems are working well. And we should basically know that what everything about our hormonal system, and you can get again, except for the adrenals, you can get a good idea about where your hormone levels are with the blood test, whether it be thyroid, whether it be insulin levels, whether it be estrogen, progesterone, testosterone levels. I think those are key because at a certain age, those hormones go down. I mean, I have women who are 90 years old who are still taking estrogen. Why? Because estrogen keeps your hair good,
Yeah.
keeps your brain working, strengthens your bones.
Yeah.
So I think that you know we're all given a disservice by these whole women's health initiative that came out in early 2000 about how
Yeah.
hormones were bad for you.
Yeah.
So we should be exercising. We should be drinking lots of water. We should go a little further in terms of again liver, kidney, lymph health and again, the adrenals, I see adrenal fatigue is just almost every patient.
Sa
Yeah. And so, another the key vitamin for the adrenals, vitamin C. We give a lot of intravenous vitamin C, like 25,000
yeah.
milligrams over an hour. I think that, that's a key thing. And when you're looking at people that are over 60, I mean, how do you get their energy back? Intravenous therapies, ozone, vitamin
Yeah.
C, very, very effective. Uh, Hormonal balance, very effective. Always keep the adrenals strong.
Yeah.
Make sure women are on bioidentical hormones. Make sure men at a certain age, if their blood tests are low on testosterone, are given testosterone, either injection or cream. Um, so I think those are the key. Now, the other parts are uh, how do we uh, connect, right?
Right.
Connect to people, connect to
Right.
nature, earthing, how to going out, walking on the sand or barefoot, in your backyard on the grass, ways to ground you, ways to reduce some of this inflammation that we're always exposed to in our bodies. Relationships, right? Where
Connection. Yeah.
are you with relationships? With your family, with your wife, with your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Spirituality too, like, the spiritual aspect of as well, like, you have to have that sort of connection too in community.
Right. I think if you
Yeah.
ask yourself a question, is out there your friend?
Yeah.
If they say no, I think, you got a lot of work to do. They
How
haven't.
much do you think, Dr. Galitzer, of these modalities, especially with we got EBOO, we've got advanced therapies that are going on, protocols, supplements, we've got, again, peptides. How much of this do you think is truly effective or just hype?
I think it's all effective.
Okay.
And I think, in my office, we use PEMF, pulse electromagnetic.
Love that. Yeah.
We use infrared lasers, red light, and infrared lasers. We use sound music therapy called the vibrasound.
Love
Uh,
that.
we have you'll see it one day.
Yeah.
We have the vibration sonics machine. We do IVs. So I think it all works. But it all works if you approach number one is we're going to eat right and we're going to and we're going to stimulate your liver, lymph, kidney, drainage systems. We're going to balance your hormones. At that point, if you do that, everything starts to work. But if you start with peptides first or hormones first, it's a slower ride. Uh,
So, with that, how much of this longevity space that we're in right now do you truly feel like is biology, or is it just daily habits and mindset, or is it both?
yeah, I don't buy the gene stuff, or I hear the gene stuff every day. Like, you know, my aunt had breast cancer. I think, genes are like recipes. They don't tell you what's for dinner. But they're like bullets, but they don't pull the
I
trigger.
like that.
So I'm not a gene guy. I think if you come
Yeah.
into this world, okay. But more importantly, you can turn off bad genes and on good genes by all the things we just talked about: hormonal
Yeah.
balance, strong livers, strong adrenals, reducing toxicity, healthy diet. So all those things, this BRCA gene that women are, if they get this blood test for BRCA gene and getting their breasts removed because there's an higher incidence of breast cancer, that's a sign that you're just not detoxifying correctly.
Whew.
That's what it really means. So it doesn't mean that you have to get, your breast taken off. So uh, I'm not a big believer in genes. Uh,
When you say genes, we're referring to genetics,
yeah,
biology, correct? Okay. Yeah.
right. I think if you come in okay and healthy lifestyles and everything we talked about are going to turn off the bad genes and turn on the good genes. So, so that's what I say about genes.
So, in your book, Ageless Vitality, if we're going to loop this back to it, because I have two more questions for you before we wrap, what does high vitality look like for someone? You know, again, and it's going to go back to optimizing your organs, right? That triangle, right? That has everything to do with everything. But what does a high vitality routine look like for someone who's trying to balance work, who's balancing their family and they're balancing stress? I know I'm a single woman, right? I work. I've got, two dogs. I've taken care of my mother who is in a nursing home, my dad who's aging. How does someone like myself or someone going through this, how do they have that high vitality life?
Uh, See me, number one. Uh,
That's
more, import-
A. Yeah.
More importantly, it's vitality is energy. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why I'm 78 and I have
Good
energy.
for you.
You've got to have energy. So I'd say vitality is energy,
Yeah.
and we address the whole concept of energy through energy medicine, with drainage, detoxification, IVs, PMF, hormone balance,
Yeah.
peptides, infrared light, sound
All of
music,
it.
light therapy. Uh, yeah. So my goal in my office is that person will have a different state leaving my office than they had when they came in there, whether it be for a first appointment or a follow-up appointment.
I love that.
Because there's enough things that we can do for people to help them. So
If they're willing to, though, right, Dr. Galitzer? Because I'm sure, do you get pushback from people that are like, I don't know about this. This is kind of woo woo. What's going on here?
sometimes those are the people that do the best, that deliver.
Yeah, because they're pleasantly surprised, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
can tell you that I think I've seen energy medicine. I've been practicing for 40 years,
Yeah.
and in that space, that was after the ER. In that
Yeah.
space, I think I've seen 70,000 patients.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Wow.
of the 70,000 patients, I would say that uh, maybe 10 wound up getting breast cancer, where the incidence of breast cancer is 1 in 8.
Wow.
Maybe 8 got a heart attack over these 40 years. So now you could just say, well, I'm attracting a certain patient. I know what I'm doing, or there's a synergy between me and the patient. Uh,
Right.
and these are not numbers that, I think other doctors in the space who've been doing this kind of work can probably attest to the same kind of statistics.
Right.
So basically, the fears out there are cancer,
Yeah.
dementia, and heart/cholesterol. It seems to be, yeah, everybody's got high cholesterol. But the real fear is cancer. Uh,
Yeah.
I
And
see.
it doesn't matter what type, right? Just cancer in general.
Right, it scares
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, because
yeah,
cancer equals death, and I think that, the
yeah,
consciousness needs to change about cancer.
yeah.
When Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, uh, then everybody started doing it after that, because all of a
Yeah,
sudden, "Hey, we could do this."
it's
So the
mindset.
problem with the cancer thing is that there isn't enough mention about people that are doing well with cancer, living with their cancer,
Yeah.
who are alive 20 years after having pancreatic cancer. They're all out there. You don't talk about that. So
It's interesting.
yeah. All
Yeah.
we equate cancer with death, the slow death, painful death, and but that's the huge fear. Anything that doesn't get better in about a week, you start thinking you have cancer.
W Well, and I'll tell you this, so, my mom, she passed away in October, and she was always a strong-minded woman. But I feel like when she decided to let go mentally is when she passed, right? Because she was just strong-minded. She lived in a nursing home for 2 years, but this goes back to that mindset. So if it's even pertaining to cancer or any sort of health issue you might have, the minute you mentally let go, that's when I think it's you're giving yourself permission to say, "Okay, I'm done," and the rest of it just takes kind of precedence.
Right.
Um,
I
if you
actually ask I want one point on that,
Yeah,
which is that every person when they come in, I ask them the question, "Do you consider yourself to be healthy?"
yeah,
Uh, and and a lot of the cancer patients say yes,
I love
which is
that.
a great sign. Because you do have 50 trillion cells and you do have some cancer cells. And I tell them, look, we're going to focus on the 50 trillion. Your oncologist can go kill the bad guys. But if we keep the good guys healthy, you're going to do well. And they get it.
So let's talk a little bit about the cancer part of this because, Ophora water, we both know and love Ophora as much as we do. Have you used Ophora in some of your protocols, given the oxygenation aspect of it, given the medical grade aspect of it? What have you seen, if any, what is the importance of Ophora been in any of your protocols or treatments or modalities?
I think it's very effective with kidney stones. Uh,
Oh, wow.
we have a cooler. We don't, the bottled
You have
water
the bioquantum. The bioquantum is what you have?
in the
Okay.
office and also
Yeah.
here, yeah, where I live. Uh,
Okay.
but the bottled water has very high levels of oxygen, much higher
Yeah.
than not coming out of the cooler.
Yeah. Of
A lot of people have an issue with the price of the O4 water,
course.
but I would believe that if everybody drank O4 water, they'd be healthier.
Well, I can tell you, yeah, from my experience, right? And I just recently found out that I've got cavitation, right? And my biodentist mentioned to me that, she said, I don't know what you're doing to help your oral microbiome, but with the cavitation being such an intense case of cavitation, it should be completely swollen and pussy and irritating you. And I don't even know I have a cavitation until she told me. And she said, what are you doing? What do you trach?" I said, well, I oil pull every night. I tongue scrape. I drink a lot of oxygenated water. And she goes, stop right there. The oxygenated water, she goes, that could be helping reduce some of the inflammation that's going on in my mouth, which I felt was an amazing connection, right? So there is so much power, like you said, in the bottled water itself because it does deliver 10 to 14 parts per million of oxygenated water. And I'm glad to see that it's helping in your practice. And you said with kidney stones, correct? With patients with kidney stones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, most people don't drink enough water.
Yeah.
So if you're drinking alkaline, highly oxygenated water, that's a plus. Now,
Yeah.
people are sick because they're too acidic.
Yeah.
Right? And, you know, acidic water or acidic body is associated with a lot of free radicals. So
Yeah.
you have an alkaline water that basically has less free radicals, kind of cooling an overheated engine.
Yeah.
And alkaline is to reduce the tissue acidity, then, it all makes sense, not to mention the oxygen that is in the water. So if everybody could drink glass bottled or for water, we'd all be a lot healthier. And then
I
maybe that's one of the
agree. I
long-term goals of
agree.
this company is to make that happen.
I agree. So I've got two more questions and I have a few rapid fire. So if you could give one piece of advice to someone who wants to age well and stay energized for decades, like for example, I want to live until I'm 80 or 90. So that's like 20 to 30 years more. What advice would you give that person
Only one thing
besides
they could do.
walking? Yeah. One piece of advice
Uh,
besides seeing you.
optimize your hormones.
Gosh, isn't that the truth?
If
Isn't that the
you're
truth?
asking, one thing, one
That's
real
it. Yeah.
yeah, at every age.
Yeah.
And don't buy into the fact that just because you're 70, your levels of hormones are low.
And
Oh,
that's for men too, correct, Dr. Galitzer? I mean, that's men and women.
right, right. Men
Yeah.
have a slower decline in
Yeah.
testosterone, uh,
Yeah.
but that's for men too. And you can get a blood test for testosterone, and see the range on testosterone is 200 to 1,000. That's the normal range, or 250 to 1,000. So if
Right.
somebody's 350, well, I'm in the range. But
Yeah.
no, you were probably at 1,000 when you were 20 years old.
Yeah.
So maybe you should be a little higher than just 350.
And are they optimized? That's the question, right? So that's the whole thing because I know for me, my my range may have been one thing, but then my hormones truly weren't optimized. They weren't. We had to go back and do more testing, but that's good to know for both men and women. So regarding ageless vitality, what prompted you to write this book? And I know if people actually implemented it, it would change their life in so many different ways. What prompted you to sit down and actually say, "Let me write this book called Ageless Vitality"?
Right. Well, on the top of the book, it says energy medicine is the future on the top
Yeah.
of the cover. So again, I don't, my business card says energy medicine. Uh, and I think energy medicine is the answer to our health issue. Okay. Because energy medicine addresses the body from an energetic point of view, which you can't get on a blood test uh, or an x ray. Energy medicine correlates more to how people feel.
Yeah.
You don't see nausea on a blood test. You don't see constipation on a blood test. You don't see fatigue unless you're anemic. You hardly see fatigue on a blood test. So basically, I believe that all the things that we talked about, detoxification, drainage, hormonal balance, IVs,
Triangle.
the leaky gut
Yep.
triangle, PEMF uh, as an energy modality, red light therapy as an energy modality. By the way, red light is potentiated by taking chlorella, 5 chlorellas 30 minutes before red light
At
treatment.
4. Okay.
So so basically, the message is to get energy medicine and the concepts involved that we just talked about out to as
Yep.
many people as possible.
Yeah.
That's always been the goal of what I do. Now I can only do so much in my practice,
Yep.
but getting the book out and getting this whole concepts of what we talked about today, I think, is key. The more people who know about it, the more people aware about it, the healthier we're going to be.
And for those of you listening and watching, you can purchase Galitzer's book on Amazon, Ageless Vitality. I purchased it. I glanced through it. I can't wait to read it. I have a few fire questions for you, Dr. Galitzer. So, what does your personal routine look like right now?
Okay, I wake up and
Had to think about this one.
wake up. I wake up and take my formulas. Uh, the formulas that actually I created, homeopathic and herbal formulas. Uh, Sometimes I'll take growth hormone. Uh, Once a week, I'll probably take testosterone.
Mm.
I do the lemon water in the morning. I have a good breakfast. I love eggs. Uh,
Oh,
and, I'll have blueberries, eggs, protein shake. But before I do that, I'll do 20 minutes on the exercise bike, uh, which is 30 seconds quick, 30 second, high interval,
right,
HIIT for 20
right.
minutes, 30 seconds quick, 30 seconds slow. Uh, Take a shower, have breakfast, and off to work. So that's my morning. Sometimes I try to, after work, go to the gym to work out. Uh,
Mm.
the gym's actually across the street, so I don't. I just have to walk across the street, which on Wilshire Boulevard, by the way, is
Oh,
itself.
that's a workout right there, just getting across the street.
Yeah, uh, and yeah, I come back and relax. Usually streaming TV. I
Yeah,
read
yeah.
and go to sleep.
It's very
So
peaceful.
the key thing is, yeah, and try to. I'm out here in the Palisades, so I try to go to the beach here on Fridays. Uh,
Yeah,
I work Monday,
yeah.
Tuesday, so
It's interesting because hustle culture has been so dominant, for so long, and now people are trying to undo that high functioning hustle, cortisol levels, balls to the wall approach, and they're really readjusting. I know I'm speaking from experience, bringing it down now to more peaceful, intentional, and purposeful approach to life versus I have to grind and do this and do that. The reality is, just because you grind the way that you do, it doesn't mean it's more effective, right? So for me, it's really about, and I believe most of us now are really truly making a conscientious effort of bringing it down a notch.
right. One
Um,
other thing that I didn't mention here, Tammy, is I use Nucalm, Nucalm. It's a neuroacoustic technology that basically is designed to stimulate the parasympathetic or the relaxation nervous system, among other things. We haven't talked about most people are too sympathetically driven, and we try to balance or stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system or the vagus nerve.
Oh, yeah.
We can gargle, we can sing in the shower, we can
Yeah.
hum,
Um,
deep breathing with long exhales. But Newcom, is a technology headphones that puts you into the parasympathetic vagal mode. NUCALM.com.
how is that different from craniosacral therapy?
Oh, it's you're listening to music.
Okay, so it's entirely different. Okay.
Yeah, you're
Okay, yeah.
listening to music. So that I find to be quite helpful. I try to do that in the office
I'll
too.
have to check that out because I can see myself doing that. What's coming next in longevity that people aren't paying attention to yet that you're aware of?
Uh, I I think that people are paying attention to everything that's involved in longevity medicine. I think that the docs aren't paying attention. Uh,
Ooh, that's a heavy statement right there. I like that.
yeah, listen, I think medicine is great for treating
I agree.
disease. I save plenty of lives giving intravenous prednisone in the ER for snake bites, allergic reactions.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it works. I
Yeah.
think the thing is that drugs that work successfully for treating acute disease don't work well for taking the same drug for 20 years.
Right.
So I think that most people are hip. I mean, there's the peptide thing.
Oh,
There's IVs everywhere. You can get an IV for vitamin C anywhere here in LA. Just walk into these places, hydration rooms they're called.
right.
So I think we're fortunate in LA to have people that are pretty hip to all this stuff. So I think that people are into saunas, people are into exercise, people into eating right,
Right.
people into hormones, people into peptides, people into red light therapy,
Right.
PMF. So I think that everybody's kind of aware and it's
Right.
kind of exciting for this whole
And
thing.
that's where I think Ophora has really started to create that niche for this wellness space with the oxygen because of the fact that we do offer the wellness spa, right? The hot tub where you can soak in oxygen for 20 minutes. You can do the cold plunge and for 20 minutes that's oxygenated. So that I feel and again, I'm speaking from experience, what has helped me with my journey with mold exposure and detoxing has been not only drinking the water, cooking, bathing in it, but soaking in it for 20 minutes because it does send so much oxygen to your cells so quickly and then you're detoxing. But I feel like you're right. They are starting to catch on to it. They are starting to see, wow, there is something here with peptides. There is something here with, hypoxia and oxygen therapy. There's so many things. And I'm so glad to see that it's becoming more of a thing, if you will, versus being, pushed to the wayside and not really entertaining the opportunity. But I'm so happy that you have started in this space where you did start in ER medicine. And I'm happy that you do ascribe to some of it. There's a place for it, right? Like antibiotics and the whole thing. But I'm very happy that for the crux of what you do, it is about energy. It is about regulating the hormones. It is about what's going on with the lymphatic, the liver, the kidney, everything. What's going on with you treat the whole person. And I love the fact that you blend both worlds to do what you do, and now you have a book about ageless vitality. If someone wants to get a hold of you, Dr. Galitzer, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Uh, they can call the office 310-820-6042
Okay.
and or go to the website drgalitzer.com and they can basically see what I do. All the modalities we talked about are talked about in the website. The last chapter of the book explains all the modalities in my office. The last chapter is called Medicine of the Future.
Yep.
So they can just go to the last chapter and see what I do there. But the book really kind of lays it out pretty good for everybody as
I,
to
I glanced through it and I can't wait to read it.
great
Yeah.
chapter on the immune system too in that book. So there's a lot of great info out there, and I think it's as comprehensive as a book as there is in this space.
What's the name of your practice if someone's going to look it up?
Um, you can just go Dr. Galitzer, or you
Dr.
can go
Galitzer.
the American Health Institute.
And that's Dr. Michael Galitzer for those of you who are going to research.
Correct, Dr. Michael
Yes.
Galitzer, drgalitzer.com,
Yep.
310-820-6042.
Wonderful. Well, Dr. Galitzer, thank you so much for bringing your wisdom, your experience. There's so many really good nuggets here that I can't wait to digest once this episode is live. And for those of you who are interested, do you do televisits as well, Dr. Galitzer?
Not really. No,
Okay.
because the fact that what I do needs to, we do
Yeah.
tests that are heart rate variability and
Okay.
bioroutines that really need, the person to be in there. And once they
Sure.
see where they are on those tests,
Yeah.
they'll get everything else.
Okay. So if you live in California, anywhere in Southern California specifically, whether it's Los Angeles, Orange County, or San Diego, I live in San Diego, so I'm going to go up to see Dr. Galitzer because I really want to be treated by someone such as him and what he does, or such as he rather, what he does in this space. But if you have the opportunity, go see him. Go make an appointment, do what you need to do, especially if you're in this space where you've had issues and you're not 100% well, you've done all the protocols, you're eating well, you're doing this, and there's still something not making sense. That's what's going on with me, which is why I feel like if I go work with Dr. Galitzer, it will be the missing piece to the puzzle. So thank you, Dr. Galitzer. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for the book. Thank you for the time. I appreciate you so much. Check him out, you guys. Dr. Galitzer. If you need more information, feel free to reach out to me. I'll share it with you. As always, we appreciate you tuning in. Go out and make it a great day and be healthy and walk. Get moving.